Gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem, performed this afternoon by Peter Griffin and his dirt bike.
Hey, this is Ryan Villapoto, and you're listening to DMXS Radio.
All right, folks, welcome back to DMXS Radio. Appreciate it, as always, tuning in. Thank our sponsors who make all this possible. MX Sports, Racer X, W Wheels, OGO, Concept 2 Rowers, and of course, Dunlop Tires, the best tires in the business, including the new GeoMax Factory Spec Tire, available now. Check out the Chad Reed, Daniel Blair, Malcolm Stewart, the last few podcasts if you haven't already. And now it's time to catch up with one of our favorites forever since amateurs, Cooper Webb. Welcome back, Coop.
What up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Man, this is you basically took a break. You were winning 3 out of 4. Did you even want a break?
Yeah, I'm probably the only guy that didn't, huh?
Yeah.
Had the ball rolling, feeling really good. But no, it's good. It's always nice to have a little weekend off, kind of regen and get the batteries charged up. And but yeah, definitely. I've had some momentum my way the last few, that's for sure.
Well, you're a girl dad. You have 2 girls now. You won Indy 4 Indy. How's the family? Let's talk to you as a person. Everybody always hits you up as a racer. You're a man, a husband, a son, all that stuff first. How are you doing as a person?
Yeah, all good, man. Life's pretty good. It's definitely busy with the 2 girls for sure. One's 2 and the other is 10 months. So it's been wide open, but it's been fun. But yeah, dad life's in full effect. We just got back from swimming lessons and now we're talking with you guys. But yeah, okay. It was good. Little chill weekend with the family. Yeah. Here in town. I went and checked out PBR, the bull ride, and they had it going on in town. So just nice chill weekend.
Well, you have done that yourself when your suspension's not working, right?
Yeah. We're the second bull riders of the world.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, with 2 kids that young, what's the latest you guys get to sleep in? Like, what is the maximum that you sleep in?
Usually, 7 or 8 if you're lucky, right?
Wow,
our kids are pretty good actually. Though they do like their sleep, and that's one nice thing is they're a bit like me. When it's bedtime, they're ready to hit the sack. Yeah, they've been pretty good for us actually with as far as sleep goes.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. The baby's hit or miss, as anyone knows. Babies can be, but the toddler loves her sleep.
Well, does Indy, your oldest daughter, does she even understand? I mean, this is the world that she's grown up in. Does she even understand like what this is, this crazy world she's in? Does she even grasp it yet?
She's starting to. She definitely is starting to. But that's kind of only started this year.
Okay.
When she's been going to the races, since she was a little baby. But I think this is the first time she's starting to really understand. And she tells me now to go fast. She says, "Daddy, go fast," and that she knows I'm number 2. And,
okay.
rode out in Tampa and opening ceremonies with me, and like now she understands it and she wants to do it like every weekend. And she says that I'm going to work every time I ride my dirt bike. So
which is so true.
It's been fun, and she's starting to really enjoy it and kind of understand it, and she really does like going to the races now. To where I think even 6 months ago she had no idea what she was around for. But so it is cool, especially as a girl dad. Obviously, for me, that's what I have is the 2 girls. So for her to kind of love to watch and be around it and see her dad do it is pretty cool.
K-Dub told me that the reason he came back and did that crazy Puerto Rican Mexican motocross as nations is because his family didn't remember him racing. They were too young, and he wanted them to see that he was a badass. So are you going to race long enough for your kids to really know it? Or are you going to come back in 10 years?
I hope so. No, I mean, it's, I think that's a good point, right? I think it's changed a lot. I mean, a lot of us are dads now, I think there's been the last few years, not just like a one kid families either, right? We're all having multiple kids, and especially right now. So it is cool to see. And even when we go to some of these races like Daytona, when we're all parked together with our motorhomes and stuff, the kids are out there playing, and it's definitely it's always been a family sport, right? But it's gotten to a point now where I think it's a good balance of traveling and being with your kids and wife and really enjoying it, but also being, a little selfish and locked in and doing what's best for Cooper Webb. So it's been really fun. There's a good balance there, and that is a cool thing about it now, though, right? Is my oldest daughter is starting to understand what I do, and I think it's cool even for myself to kind of show her, like, hey, if you work hard and put all your effort into something, then you can be rewarded, and it maybe teaches her some good values along the way. So it's been super cool to do, though.
And talk about a blue collar, talk about work ethic. That's all you're known for. Are you a soft dad or a tough dad or what? Like when it comes to, I can see you being a big marshmallow.
It definitely made me a little softer than I used to be, right? But in a good way. I mean, it's I'm definitely I'm the fun dad, but I'm also I want to teach her what's right and wrong, right? Yeah. So I definitely stick my foot in maybe a little more than the wife, and I'm not scared to give her a little pop on the bottom if she's not being respectful or doing her thing. But overall, I think we have a good balance of that. But yeah, it's hard, man. As you
I'm a girl dad too.
Yeah, exactly. As you know, it's like when they look at you with that little eye twinkle, it's hard to say no sometimes,
Hey, the sooner your kids figure out that you're mentally stronger than them, that it's gonna be good for them, dude.
100%.
You are not going to win the battle of test of wills with Cooper Webb.
Yeah. No, like I said, it's hopefully I can teach those good qualities that I have, and heck, there's a lot of bad qualities I have that I'm working on. But like I said, it's good to have it right now. Like I said, I'm able to show them. I wake up in the morning, and like I said, she knows I'm headed to work.
I love that.
She knows I'm going to work, and that's just what she expects. So it's kind of cool.
And what about her? What about Indian dirt bikes? Is she going to get a PW50? Is she going to get? Is she going to?
Yeah, she might. She has. She's in between sports right now. She has a quad that she likes to ride, and then she has I do have a 110 that I'll ride her around on.
Okay.
She's learning. It's cool. In our neighborhood, we have a lot of kids in here, and they're playing sports. So she just learned the other day soccer, and she learned t-ball, and she knows football. So yeah, she's around a lot of other stuff, and she really likes swimming. So it's cool at this stage, man. She's starting to really kind of figure out herself a little bit and her personality, and kind of learning it all. But she's not super into the dirt bike, but she likes riding it. It was kind of funny. She really likes the quad. That's her go-to. Could be quad life in the future. You never know.
I get to see your ass at GNCC's wrenching for your daughter.
Full thumb throttle, baby.
Yeah, man. I love it. Hey, and it's a lot easier to ride and balance on the quad, so I totally get Indy's love of it at her age.
We'll see. Luckily, Yamaha has us covered no matter what, right?
Oh yeah, you're deep with that because they're all in on everything. They're like the only ones making new quads, which is cool.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, yeah, it's been fun.
All right. Well, you keep checking off boxes. I know that you won Indy for Indy, like we mentioned before. But beating Cooper, Justin Cooper in the whoops by 7 seconds. I mean, this was, I don't think anybody talked about, Roxon getting away clean there and stuff. I don't think anybody beat you that weekend. I mean, that you were on a different level than I think we've seen you being capable of this year. That was awesome to watch.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's always good when you get a win, right? But I think for me, that one was special. It was, one, I led every lap, which is rare for me. Got a good start, and it was me and Chase right there off the start, and was able to just kind of get out front and pull away and build a lead, and kept building, and then he had that mistake, obviously, which really kind of gave me a little bit of a bigger gap, and just kind of rode it in. So I mean, it was mistake-free race. It was no drama, which I'm sure the fans, they want hard racing and all that. But for Cooper Webb, it was best case scenario.
Hey, you've given them plenty of drama.
It felt good, right? I felt like my speed. I was the fastest guy in the main event, and felt good all day. Obviously, had some mistakes in practice. Had that little crash and stuff like that, and same in the heat. So it's always good when you can turn those kind of nights around or those little mistakes and get better from it. And but yeah, I think, like you said, the last month has been really good to me. But Indy, I think, was for sure my best ride of the season so far.
Well, I know it's way too soon to even talk about managing a championship, but when you see what happened to Chase in Arlington, just pushing when he didn't need it, does that just like give you a reminder of on the nights when it's not there with the injuries this year and it coming down to pretty much just 3 riders to go ahead and just have that mental always being aware of not pushing it on those nights when you don't need it?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've always. I've almost made a career out of that, I guess you could say, right? Yeah. Taking what's given to you sometimes. And you'll have that, certain weekends you're just feeling great and you're really gelling with the track and, just can't do anything wrong. And then you're going to have weekends where you feel the exact opposite and you're slow and you're fighting the bike and you're fighting the track and you can't do anything right. So it's all about taking it for what it is, at least in my opinion. And obviously that's why we race 17 rounds. It's a long championship, and you got to be good a lot of the nights. And like you said, on those nights that you're not good, you really got to work on minimizing the damage, is what everyone says, and it's a true thing. So obviously this year, like I said, it started off extremely stacked, and we've had two or 3 or 4 injuries, where it definitely changed kind of the trajectory of things, but there's still, in my opinion, 6, 7, 8 guys that can go out and win on any given night, and we've even seen that this year. I think we've already had 6 different winners or something crazy. Yeah. So it's competitive as ever, and you got to be on your toes, and you got to definitely do your thing. But I think it does cross your mind sometimes, where it's like, hey, maybe I'll not ride over my head and just and get a second or get a third or whatever it is tonight versus, maybe pushing that limit of crashing and getting a worse result. But, like I said, I feel like I've always been relatively pretty good at that.
Okay. Well, I came on Daniel Blair's pod this week, and this is all complete respect to Kenny and Chase. I'm not trying to disrespect them at all, but Kenny was almost apologizing for getting the fastest lap in Indy, and Chase has been kind of photographed with his head down a bunch, the last couple of weeks. I mean, do you kind of already know that you're mentally better in a better place at this point of the season than those two right now? You there, bud? Hello. All right, Coop, we got you back, bud.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. I don't know what happened.
It's no problem. I don't know if you heard my question. I'll go ahead and restate it. But
yeah, I heard the beginning of it.
Yeah,
so go ahead.
But anyway, so like, I no disrespect to those guys, but I mean, mentally, where you are this point in the season, it seems like you're already known for being mentally strong, but it seems like you're almost kind of have Kenny and Chase in the corner already. Yeah,
I mean, it's it's the ball's been rolling for me, right? And I do think. I mean, it's no secret. I think they know what kind of competitor I am and, what I bring to the table. And I guess what you keep kind of alluding to, the mental fortitude that I do have. But with that being said, there is a lot of racing left and you can't get ahead of yourself. It can flip as we see on any given night and any given weekend. So I think for me, I got to keep doing what I'm doing. I know it sounds cliche and everyone says it, but it's the truth, right? If you just keep locked in and applying yourself and staying, on the offense instead of the defense, then I think that's the right place to be. And I think for me, it's somewhere where I've been before. I've won 2 of these, and I just love this situation, honestly. Like I think a lot of people stray away from this, championship battle and the pressure and all that, but that's where I feel most comfortable. And, I'd love to be in that situation. I've been on the flip side where, you're the second or third best guy and you're doing everything you can and you're just not making progress on the championship guy or whatever the case is. So for me, I really love these situations. It's what gets me up and going in the mornings. It's what I strive for. So with that being said, I think they know, that anything's possible and they're going to do, and I think this break probably was better for them than myself, and they're going to come back strong and they're going to be ready to fight. So you can't take that away from anybody or do anything. But I do think, like you said, I've been in this situation before. I obviously am in a great spot for me with 8 rounds left, and full gas from here, I think, for me.
Pressure is a privilege. I love that saying in sports, meaning you have earned the right to be under pressure. Like, you put yourself in these positions, even, Roy McIlroy this morning in the playoff at golf said that. He's like, man, I was nervous. My legs were weak. My stomach was, he goes, but I love that because that means that, that's what it means to you.
Correct. And there's consequences of it, right? You're more stressed or, a little more nervous and you're double thinking and there's pressure and there's the what ifs and there's always that doubt and all that. But I think, it's what I wanted to be. Like, that's what you sign up for, right? Is to be the top of your sport. And with that, like you said, you're going to have some negatives, and you look back at a whole, I've been much more pissed off when I'm second or, those years where I just had an off year and I'm not even maybe in the top 3. Like when I look back at 2022 or my rookie year in the 450 class where I couldn't do anything right. And those were miserable. This is the fun part. You're able to line up and go for wins and you have the red plate and you're whether you like it or not, you're in control. So, I enjoy it.
Since you guys aren't mic'd up, when you crash in the sand or the whoops, do you cuss? Like, do you hitting a bad golf shot, or do you?
100%. You're freaking out on yourself. At least me. I'm mad at myself, and I'm probably glad I'm not mic'd up in those situations.
I mean, I'm just thinking. First of all, you're in the sand. It was like and then you got sand all over you. It's like the double.
And you're out front.
Yeah.
And, got a great heat race going, you got a good gate pick coming, and then boom, but that's like I said, right? That's the beauty in our sport is you can never get too complacent, right? Because you never know what can happen. So you got to stay focused, you got to stay on it, you got to stay trained and all that good stuff. And you never know what can happen. Yeah,
we've seen Chase and some other people that, like, when they go down, they get up and they ride worse, or that that gets in their head. And I'm not picking on Chase, but when you said you ride better pissed, I honestly believe that if it's possible for you to be more focused, it's almost like that literally is a motivation for you, other than it being a detriment. It's like, okay, now I'm pissed.
Yeah, and it's like you said, I think 90% of other people it goes the other way.
Yeah.
But for me, it is. They always joke with me about, like, anytime I have a bad heat race, I always do really good in the main. So they're just like, just have a bad heat for us, okay? And but no, it's something that I've been able to do for a long time, even as a kid. Just I don't know if it was just the way I was raised or just a kind of unique thing I've always had is when I feel like if I have a point to prove is a big thing for me, but also, like, just whether it's mad at myself or mad at a circumstance or, like I love rivalry. So I think a rivalry is always great for me because it gets the best out of me when you're going and you have that that spitefulness against someone a little bit, as bad as it sounds, that I think it gets the best out of me. So, as you get older, you definitely try to limit those rivalries because you just don't want to be in that crap all the time. But I think for me, having that emotion is something that always has helped me. And I also think that's what's, as a competitor, a little bit scary, right? Because, if you kind of try to maybe put me on the ground or race me hard or say something wrong, it's just going to make me even better. And so you got to kind of be a little careful, I guess.
Yeah. Watching you and Kenny in Detroit this year is a lot different in years past. It's still great to see that, but man, it's a couple years ago. That was a blood match.
100%. And, like you said, it's still there, right?
Sure.
As competitors, we're still racing hard, and, he doesn't want me to beat him and I don't want to, vice versa. So it is gnarly, but I think, like you said, as you get older, you kind of settle down a little bit, right? It's not as cutthroat as maybe it used to be or anything like that. And but with that being said, I do feel like I'm always ready for those situations if it does turn into that.
I think of it's like lions. They have scars, they heal, but you remember the fucking lion that gave it to you. I mean, it's like
100%.
You don't ever forget that scar.
Yeah, 100%. You're 100% with that.
All right. The sand in Supercross is a big controversy. Fans love it. Talking to Reedy, when he's a team owner, he hated it because it was so expensive to break the bikes down and it just tears shit up. But what is your take? I mean, probably not every round, but does it lend itself to Supercross? Do you like it in Supercross?
I mean, I think none of us riders like it. I think this year I've talked about it with someone else, but I actually will give them credit. I think this year is the most raceable sand we've had.
Okay.
Meaning I was never a fan because it would always become a one line. It was always in a 180 turn. The inside was always preferred, and it would just kind of build up, and everyone went in the same place. And there was, if you worked the whole lap to catch someone and then you got stuck behind them, and, what people don't think about is just the roost alone coming off the tire.
Oh, yeah.
You could lose a second alone just from the sand section and getting roosted and going that direction. So I will credit them this year. They're constantly working on the sand as far as in the equipment. And I think you'll see in practice, it's very one-lined, and it's, we're all doing the same exact thing. And then they come in and they try to, whether it's adding singles or making the outside a more berm or whatever the case is, it has been better. But my own personal opinion, I think it's dumb. I think it's just a waste of time. And I think it's lack of creativity from, the high ups of making an actual obstacle that's going to be a Supercross obstacle. I think sand for them, it looks cool from an aerial shot. It makes for cool photos or video, but that's really it, right? And like I said, there has been instances lately where it has played a part in the main event in a positive or negative, but at least it's doing something. But yeah, I think in the past, when it's a 180 sand turn and there's no other option, or it's, a whole straightaway of sand, honestly, even the Tampa one, man, it's just that
was a lot. To
me, that's not Supercross.
Yeah.
That's, it's just a made up kind of obstacle. So, that's my personal opinion on it. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I will give them credit. This year, it's been the best sand we've had, and it's been different sand too, which is interesting. It was always that white beach kind of sand, and now it's kind of unique to the areas we've been going to.
What about have you ever seen sand drain water like Indy? That was crazy.
Yeah, no, it was. And that's what's hard, right? Is, and it's another thing, you don't know what's underneath, when they're building those rollers, is that 100% sand rollers, or is it 1 foot of sand with dirt base? And that's where it's hard. And I think that's where it's biting us. And even this weekend when I fell, I was up on the outside, and I still don't know. Did I fall in the sand, or did I hit a slick spot in where the where the dirt and the sand met, and that's what caused the crash? That for me is a bit of something you don't know, and to where like outdoors when you're riding sand, like proper sand, it's consistent, right? And your bike's set up for it, and this and that. So it is tough. I mean, like I said, if it's Star's done a great job. Every track we have has sand on it, so it's something that we've all accepted last year. Like, hey, this is shitty and it sucks, but you're gonna have to learn it. So here it is. So I think that's kind of my mindset on it this year. It's just kind of accepting it and try to be fast in it.
Who, as far as the suspension with Supercross, like what's it like tell people what it's like to ride sand on Supercross suspension, basically broomstick forks?
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, it's, imagine hitting, I don't even know what you can compare it to, but like you said, you have stiff suspension. So say like a bicycle with absolutely, like a road bicycle or a hardtail mountain bike with absolutely no suspension, and you're riding it on the road, and then all of a sudden, hey, we're gonna put a speed bump, and you got to hit that speed bump with that suspension. Like there's just absolutely no compliancy, and then it's slippery, right? So it doesn't hold. It's we go through there with 20 of us one lap, and the line changes, right? So it's tough. Like I said, and I don't think that's why we all complain. Like there's no consistency to it, which does make it a challenge. And I do think, like I said, from a riding perspective, it does make it a challenge, and it does create where you have to get creative. And I do appreciate all of that as a rider in it. But with that being said, it's a lot, and that's more this year. Like I said, I think it's been something where it's actually, when it changes, you have to kind of be on your toes and make those changes. And it's rewarding if you make those changes, to where I think in the past, you could just kind of clutch, brake, blast in and out. And as long as you were ahead of the guy in front of you, you could almost roost him and you were safe for another lap. Which that always sucked. That's where I wasn't a huge fan of it at all. Where, like I said, I think this year, by them making, and even in Indy, as much as I didn't really care for that sand, you saw it all night. There was at least passes made, right? And you could go inside, you could go outside,
jump the wall,
that. You could jump the wall, you could do this, you could double through it. That's where I tipped the cap. That was actually, even though I crashed in it, that was a good sand section with lots of options, and I applaud them for that, for sure.
Yeah, because inside was faster sometimes, outside was faster, timing it, slowing down, jumping the wall. There were three options right there in one section.
Yeah, which is great. Like I said, I think it's where it gets tough is when they, if you watch practice, every one of us went right down the middle. We hit the same line. There was no difference. So that's what I mean, I guess, by them actually getting in there, and between even sometimes the heat before the LCQs and the main event, like they're constantly getting in there because they're seeing a thread or a trend, and then they're fixing that trend and making it a challenge. So that's where, like I said, they never used to do that in the past. It was like, hey, once we fix the stand for the night show, we're not touching it. And it would, if you followed the berm after 3 or 4 laps, you're going into the hay bales or off the track or whatever the case is, where
keep pushing.
Like I said, now it's finally getting somewhat consistent as far as lines and options, and there's not one fast way around it for the whole 20-minute plus one main event.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask you about qualifying, because I know that's you've been criticized for not being a fastest qualifier, but you obviously picked that up this year. I will ask you this though, suspension wise, like in car racing, it's totally different for that one hot lap that you lay down, and then race trim is different than qualifying trim. Is Supercross anything like that? Is there something that you do just for one section to get that fastest lap, or is it race trim, qualifying trim the same?
For me, it's the same. I can't speak for everyone. I wouldn't be surprised if there was, clicker changes for practice versus main event.
Right.
But for me, it's the same. We don't change anything for qualifying. Yeah, it's a unique, perspective. Like I said, it's one lap versus what I think at Indy we did 25 laps. So a lot changes from lap 1 to lap 25 in a main event. It's almost like a whole nother style. And like you said, in car racing or NASCAR and some car racing, it's way more important where, I think F1, as we know, like qualifying first is huge because of the way that racing is.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think with our racing, having gate drops, it's important, but it's not nearly as important, right? So as far as setup, no, we run the same. I doubt people in our sport do that. Like I said, maybe
just a couple
if anything,
clickers.
you go a little bit stiffer to be able to really get the most out of your bike for one lap because you're riding it to its absolute limit. But I almost think we're at the point now where sometimes we're riding it harder in our main event than maybe we even were in practice. So, I think bike setup, there's nothing too different there.
How awesome is it to not have a brand new bike to have to get through testing and break it in?
It has been nice, man. It's, for me, this second year on the Yamaha, we found a great setting last year, a few races in, and it's kind of what we stuck to this whole off season. We've made a few engine tweaks here and there, but suspension wise, we're pretty much the exact same. And for me, that's a game changer, to know just how many laps I've done on this exact setting and how comfortable I am on it and everything like that. And, I think Yamaha knows they have a great bike right now. And whenever the new bike does come, hopefully it's as we all wish, it's always better. But it's not always the case. I think for me, it was on KTM, that was a tough one where we had a great bike and we kind of struggled when the new one came out for a bit. So, it is nice to not have to go to the complete drawing board, although I'm very confident with the group we have that when we do get a new bike, it'll excel very well.
It must be like, when you're dating before you get married, it's kind of like nervous and things aren't super, always comfortable. And then like when you're married for 5 years, that's like what a second year on a bike. It's like the 5 years in, you're like, this is just feels, I just know what to expect. There's no, there's no nervousness. There's no worry about farting in the car, going to the movie. I mean, you just basically, you're comfortable with your woman for 5 years.
Yeah. And it's, I think it's tough because they're trying to make the bikes better, but it's also hard from they're making it better for the consumer.
Sure. Not just racing.
It doesn't always translate to making it better for the professional racers. And you'll have, like we know, it's not just recently, right? It's been that way since the freaking 70s. Anytime there's a new bike, it either is very good, or it takes time to get better or to the level of the old bike or whatever the case is. And especially nowadays with the difference in supercross and motocross, I've had years where a bike feels better on a supercross track than it did a motocross track and vice versa. So, you're always fighting, you're always constantly trying to evolve, but that's where, like I said, I think the team that you have around you can play a very big role when you have a lot of guys that have always worked within a certain window, meaning they only kind of know one way of technology or, hey, this is, a lot of the teams or some of the teams will only change, small things throughout the years. Like, hey, we got a new bike, but it's only a minor frame adjustment or a minor engine adjustment to where they go all in and do different suspension, chassis, triple clamps, bars, and, everything, then you're having to relearn a new bike, and anything that you've done before, you basically got to go out the window and say, that's not going to work. So that's where you have a lot of great engineers and suspension and engine techs in this sport. And some can get very creative and understand motorcycles and what they need and what they don't. And, some guys have just only been taught a certain way, and if that way doesn't work, it's a bit harder for them to go outside that box. But I think you'll get that in any motorsport, right? It's unique in the sense of, yes, it's the rider, but nowadays with all the freaking talent and great teams and technology we have, it's being comfortable. In my opinion, that's the difference right now. So I have a great team with the Star Racing Yamaha team. I think they've shown on multiple different platforms, they can get it done. So definitely nice being here.
Who do you ride with during the week? Like, who's actually on your practice track when you're doing motos?
Frick, all of us, bro.
So you guys are like, it is literally Mad Max for you too. Like, you don't. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's Hayden, myself, Justin Cooper, Anstey, Bennett, Thrasher, Craig, Cole Davies, and obviously we got some injuries right now, and that's why those other guys aren't out there. But like we would have normally had Pierce Brown with us, and
right.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much every star rider. Even Moseman rides with us, and when Eli was here in the off season, he was riding with us. So yeah, it's very rare you get a day to yourself. But for me, I've always liked that. I was kind of, that's how we did it at Eldon's, the same way, and it does get the best out of you, man. I think we've seen it with Hayden. He kind of went and wanted to maybe do his own thing at the beginning of the year and kind of ride by himself, and some guys can do it, man. Some guys really can, but I do think our riding as a group is really what excels us as a group. And you throw a great bike in there, and a good program, and it's most of the time we've had some good success so far.
Do the 250 guys get chippy with you guys?
Oh, hell no. They know better to get chippy with me. I'll put them in their place.
I love to hear.
It is hard. It is hard. I think especially for the 250 guys, there's a lot of, I don't want to use the word like ego, but they're trying to be the guy on the team, right?
Guy,
and we have so many mixed personalities, and I do think Bobby is very hard on the 250 boys in the fact of he expects the most out of them every single day, and if you're off that day, you might hear about it or whatever the case is. So for me, I think I've been around the block enough to know, like, I give it my all every day, and some days that's just not going to be fast for whatever reason, whether it's me just waking up on the wrong side of the bed or struggling, like we said earlier, with the track or your bike or whatever the case is. But it is cool. I think since at least I've gotten here, there's been a lot of respect amongst everybody.
Okay, good.
With that being said, they all want to go beat each other on the weekend, and that's the attitude you got to have. I think you got to be cordial during the week and be respectful of one another. And on the weekend, it's make the best man win.
Well, you were one of the guys coming up. Then you've got Chase moving up from 250s. You got Jet moving up. When Hayden Deegan moves up, is he going to be a title contender right away, or is he going to have the same learning curve that everybody else has?
Man, I don't know. That's a really good question. You never know. Me personally, I do think Hayden is a generational guy, as we know. But you never know. I think it was something where, like you said, Jet came in as a rookie and was undeniably amazing. You had me, who had a
tons of titles,
sweet 250 career, and came in and I struggled for 2 years, and same with Ricky and James, and you can go down the list, RV, so, but then you have a Dungy who won 2 titles his rookie year. So that, I don't know. I don't know if, I wouldn't be surprised if he came in and was an amazing title contender, or if it did take him a few years. But I do think he's a package deal, and I do think he has what it takes to be successful in this sport, no matter what happens, for sure.
You think the criticism of him is fair? Love or hate
in
this
what
guy?
Regard?
Like the love and hate. I mean, it's like 50-50. I mean, he's polarizing.
Yeah, it's hard, right? I'm used to that because I feel like, when I was younger, I was similar in the sense of I love to run my mouth, and I was
still do.
I can back it. Yeah, I still do. And yeah, I've calmed down a little bit, but I still have a underlying confidence in myself. And, I think he's very similar. I am. And yeah, I think it's something that you're going to have that, right? If you're the top of this sport, it's no different than Jed. It's no different than probably Chase or Kenny. You're going to have guys that just love you, and you're going to have people that hate you. So
yeah,
I don't think it bothers him too much. I think if anything, he uses it as a motivating factor, which is what I do as well. And but I think it's fair. It's he's gonna say things, and he does things his way, which rightfully so. But you're gonna have consequences sometimes if you are that way. But it's tough. I mean, it really is a tough sport. You can never please anyone. You got fans that want us to be open and brash and say what's on our mind, and as soon as you do, you get killed for it sometimes. So I think he's in a spot where he's doing just fine, and whether it's good or bad, you're talking about him, right? And I think that's the goal.
I just interviewed Mookie, and there's a clip going around where I guess Deegan's signing autographs, and he doesn't make eye contact, and he's kind of dismissive of the person asking for the autograph. And Mookie's like, dude, I understand the fan that might be disappointed, but he defended Deegan like, man, that's everybody's going to have that kind of day. You might have a shitty heat race or a practice or qualifying or whatever. You're not, you might not engage every single time. So Mookie defended that one.
For sure. And it's hard. And it's something that, like you said, we get paid a lot of money to be a racer. Mm-hmm. And with that being said, the fans are what makes this sport. And that's, at least for me, something that I enjoy is signing those autographs for those young kids and putting a smile on a kid's face or whatever the case is. But what I just said, unfortunately, sometimes we don't get paid to be the biggest autograph signer in the paddock. We get paid to win. So when we go out there and have a terrible practice, or we're struggling with the bike and this and that, and you almost get pulled to, hey, you got to go sign autographs. It's hard to make that switch mentally and emotionally and physically. And then, you got to be back out on the track in 20 minutes, and this practice is going to could defy your night. It's a lot. And with the access that I think our fans have, especially now with these VIP programs and this and that, they're basically in our semis pretty much from 10 a.m. or they're down at the podium, or they're in the press conference, and they're on all these places, which is great that they get access, and you can basically buy that access to now. But it's not really like that in other sports, right? Like, it don't matter how much money I have. I could have never paid to go be with Tom Brady post game, or anything like that. So it's tough. I think that there's you're unfortunately sometimes going to upset fans or not give them the time that they deserve, or whatever the case is. And I just hope that they understand from our end. We have a heck of a lot going on throughout the day, and we try our best to give our time and our this and our that, but it's tough. It is tough sometimes.
All right. Well, that's a fair point. Here's my point. If Mookie has your back, then you're being unreasonable, because that's frickin' Mookie. I mean, the biggest smile in the pits, and he's
Mookie's the man, and it's tough. Like I said, it's you got to be on. And when I say on, you got to be basically ready from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. to either have a camera or eyes on you, and that's how race day is. You get emotional, and you get this and you get that, and you got to basically remember that there's either a microphone, a camera, or a fan constantly watching you. It takes time, and it's something that as kids, no one really gets us ready for. It's like, hey, you just got to go race your dirt bike. Oh, okay, cool. And then when you turn pro, it's a whole nother world. So it is definitely a difficult transition as far as managing that, but I do feel like most of us give our best to give all the fans the time and the engagement that we possibly can.
I agree. Kevin and I are going to do the VIP thing and just hang out with you all day. That would just be your fucking worst nightmare. It's like DMXS. What? Get them at security. Get them out of here.
Yeah, these damn rednecks.
Yes, these hillbillies that follow me around since I was on 80s. This is stalking. Get them out of here. All right, last thing, Coop, is we always talk about the Mount Rushmores of all this stuff, and you might be the most unlikely 3-time Supercross champion. You got Tomac, Reed, Stewart. All these guys have 2. 3 would be just a feather in an already awesome cap.
Oh, 100%, man, and it's. That's why I still do it. It's, there's nothing like winning, and like you said, we still got a lot of racing left, and we're really only about halfway or so through this series. But I put myself in a good situation to capitalize. And I mean, as far as Mount Rushmore now, I don't see myself on that by any means. I think there's still a lot of records and a lot of more championships that people have won than myself. But with that being said, it's cool to see when I look at these record books, at least this last win, like it just tied me with RJ as,
Legends.
at 28, which is unreal, and when I first started this journey as a 4-year-old kid from North Carolina, I never expected to really even make it pro. And so now just to even not only be a race winner, but a multi-time champion and climbing my way through these records here and there. And like I said, if we could clinch a third championship, I mean, that's not a lot of company there. So it is really cool. I get stoked for it, but it's like I said earlier, it's why I line up every year, because I truly think I'm always a contender, and until I'm not, then I don't want to be out there,
That's awesome. Blair said the best line so far about the Mount Rushmore. He said they'll be the 4 guys up there, whoever it is, and there's going to be a big chiseled middle finger, and that'll be Cooper Webb to all the doubters throughout his entire career. So you got the Mount Rushmore and then the 60-foot middle finger, dude, and that is you.
Yeah, no, I like it, man. It's it is unique, right? I think everyone said it, but I would say as a multi-time champion and race winner, I am probably the most doubted or written off guy a lot of the time. So it always feels good to prove people wrong.
All right, well, dude, we've been with you through it all. When you sucked, when you're awesome, when you just all the highs and lows, and it's been an amazing journey. And this is why I only hit you up once a year, because I know you get hit up all the time, and that's why I want to remind you that you're a human being first, and that's what I always look at you and all these riders first as human beings. So thank you for your time. I'll leave you alone for the rest of the year, but we've got your back. We know that we're pulling for you.
Always a pleasure,
man. And the good that being the girl dad stuff, all the stuff that's super important. We're proud of you for that as well, man. But thanks for catching up, and we'll keep tabs. Thanks, brother.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
All right, peace. All right, there we go. Cooper Webb, just one of those guys. I mean, he's just one of those guys. It's always fun to catch up, but man, he just overachieves on every single thing. We kind of joke about that, him constantly being doubted, and he continues to. It's like, why haven't these people learned to quit doing that? But seriously, thank you to Racer X, MX Sports, W Wheels, OGO Concept, 2 Rowers, Greg Hammond. I haven't forgotten about you, brother. And Dunlop Tires, the best tires in the business, including the new GeoMax factory spec tire with custom rubber compound, optimized profile, reinforced sidewalls, available now. Check them out at Ride Dunlop. So DMXS, I hope you guys enjoyed that. And guess what? We are back when we're back. DMXS out.
This is Justin Brayton, David Iser, and Kevin Keller, a bunch of clowns. You can go ahead and turn your radio off now.
You listen to us because we are motorcycle guys. You might even call us gurus. We are awesome.
I've been called a lot worse than that, Kevin Kelly.
Yeah, we're the guys. We know everything. I know everything about you. I know everything about movies. I know everything about the space shuttle launches and the crashes. Everything.
And because you turn to us for motorcycle knowledge, we only tell you about what's the best, Kevin, because our spotless reputation that we've built for 16 years is on the line. That's why.
Yeah, and I would not risk my crappy reputation on just anybody. That's why we are telling you about Dunlop tires. It's what we have on our bikes. I have a fleet of motorcycles, and they all have fresh, crispy Dunlops on them. If the pros have them, you know us amateurs are going to have them. They're good enough for them. They got to think they're good enough for us dorks.
Too good for Dunlops. You're a tire snob. We want nothing to do with you.
Yeah, good luck with that. But not just the pros use them. Everyday riders agree, and they have the testing to back it up. You can't beat the quality of Dunlop motorcycle tires.
Let's wrap this bad boy up, Kevin. Whether you're on the dirt, the road, or the track, you can depend on Dunlop. To learn more about their products, visit DunlopMotorcycleTires.com or your local pro dealer. The amateur guys are working their way up. Go to a Dunlop pro dealer. Check them out. We love them. You will too.
Get ready, America, because WUSA is your #1 source for quality wheel sets in America. WUSA offers all the top brands that you and the world's best racers know and trust, like Reed, Dungey, Millsaps, Tickle, Sealy, Short, and more. All rely and trust WUSA, because all our wheels are built right in our shop in Orange, California. And if you wanted custom made for your bike, like the world's best freestyle riders, Renner, Deegan, Adams, Madison, Mason, Sherwood, and others, you can choose different spoke and nipple colors for a completely custom look that'll dazzle you. off-road riding, WUSA can build you wheels for the absolute toughest of conditions. And W also offers DID and Excel rims, along with OEM replacement spoke and nipple kits for your stock hubs. Need brakes? W offers the industry's best oversized and standard brake kits from Galfer and Brembo. Just see your local dealer or visit us at WUSA.com. Hey, you can also download the most current W catalog from the iTunes App Store. WUSA, DUBYA USA. It doesn't get any better than us.
It's the cry of the lion, the burning in your soul. And it's the feeling that you get when your back's against